What's up, everyone? This is JoeSavy playing a TvP matchup, and the map is Cloud Kingdom, and I'm bottom left-hand corner versus my opponent, Hao Loons. How Loons. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. I apologize. I sincerely apologize. Okay. So now that we've gotten the apologies out of the way, we will be going into my vision, and we will be seeing how this game plays out. And it always amazes me that or what I find on the ladder, what I see on the ladder, because I see everything. I mean, it forces you to prepare for 1,001 different, 1,000,001 different scenarios. And if you overcommit to one thing, over prepare for one thing, then you get wiped out, or you get killed, or you get harassed, or something happens, right? Say the entire game just pretty much refuse to put a turret right here. And then you just keep getting dropped over and over and over again. But if you had, let's say, one or two turrets, you could have just defended that and not dealt with that headache. So it's stuff like that. I mean, but if he never drops you, wow, I never needed to build that turret. I just wasted 200 resources on the turrets, and I didn't have to do that. So probe coming in, doing what probes typically do, and that's pointless scouting. Pretty much scouting for refinery timings. If there's a refinery coming up, then that means that the probe will scout it, and so on and so forth. So I see the pylon going down, and I go, oh damn it, cannon rush. Cannon rush is coming. Okay, so building SCVs, chasing around that probe because I do want to kill him at some point, trying to head him off, and I screwed that one up. That was a bad uh, cut off of that probe. I didn't really block him or anything. Second probe coming in, and I'm assuming at this point, once I saw that second probe, oh, there we go. There's the cannon. Was waiting for you, man. Man. So this time I try to kill him, and again, I failed on that one. I couldn't do it. So taking my SCVs up, I'll be picking off that probe. There you go. And then at this point, here is the crunch point. The point where I decide, okay, if that cannon gets up, and this pylon gets up on the high ground, then I'm going to be in a world of hurt, because once this marine pops, he'll be dead pretty much. So I decide, alright, this is what we got to do. We got to kill this pylon. Even though I think I did take too many SCVs, but I took just enough to kill the pylon. Okay. So, yeah, keep my SCVs there to take some damage, and then I run my marine over to this point. So notice what I did. Let's go back a little bit. To deal with a cannon rush like this, I know it can be frustrating, can be confusing, and that kind of thing, but I don't even know. I don't think I've lost to a cannon rush in like a year or something like that. Even though people do them, I've never lost to one. I mean, I've maybe been thrown off to the point where I end up losing the game, but I've never lost to a cannon rush, or haven't for a long time at least. Maybe I just haven't played somebody who was good enough. So I close the wall. First step, close your wall, because without a wall, then it's very difficult to deal with this kind of nonsense. So close your wall up, and then that way you can keep the probes from either coming in or going out, or if for some crazy reason he happens to get a zealot chrono boosted, then it would be much better to have a wall than not and one marine, that kind of thing. Alright, so he'll be running around with this probe, and then we're just pretty much trying to kill it. Don't overcommit to this probe, even though I did in this case. This pylon, maybe I overcommitted to it. But what you want to do with these marines, specifically on Cloud Kingdom, but you could do it on other maps as well, is get this marine out of range if possible. The first or second marine or something like that. Get him out of range, because if I could deny this choke, any probe that comes, these two marines can kill it before it can ever get to the point where it can do damage. Notice my base is on the high ground, and the cannons are on the low ground, and this probe needs to push up on the ramp to gain vision. Now, if you had an observer, that would be great, but because observers require a robo facility, that's pretty much impossible at this point. I mean, let's go into everyone vision. No gas, one forge, one pylon, and a few workers. Not even a bunch of workers. Alright, so pick off anything on the high ground, pick off that probe. There we go, the probe is dead. Now moving my marine over to the ramp, like so. Moving the second marine over to this ramp, or not the ramp, the choke. Waiting for any kind of probes or whatever units to come in. I'm hoping not a zealot, because I have seen it before where this cannon stuff comes up, and then I end up dying because of that, because the zealot shows up. Okay, so the first Marine's out on the high ground, 2 on the low ground to kill the probe. Second one up on the high ground, following that up with 2 additional barracks, getting gas, doing all the usual stuff. Now, after all that stuff was taken care of, we transition back to a standard style play. 1, 2, 3 barracks, refinery, getting supply depots so we don't cap ourselves, and doing all that stuff necessary to play a more macro-oriented game. Now he's set himself back so far with this type of play that there's not much he can do. In fact, I think the safer route that he could have gone was, instead of getting this expansion, going for like 3 additional gateways and then getting units to defend, or a 1-gate robo, or something like that. Because now he really has nothing to defend, with the exception of this cannon, which works great in TVZ, but in TVP, or sorry, not TVZ, PVZ, but in TvP, it's a little bit more difficult to pull that kind of stuff off. So getting my second refinery and just getting Marines and all that other cool stuff. Factory going down. I want to get medevacs. I do need stem at some point, which will be popping up as soon as I have 100 gas. Let's see, Marauder, Marine, pushing up, and I scout that there's a cannon, but again, this is why this type of play does not work in TvP or PvT, because the Marines and Marauders outrange this cannon, so you have no defense. Alright, so I'm going to pretty much pick off his only unit producing structure, and 1 sentry gets out, which I just kind of laugh at, because a sentry isn't strong enough to kill this army. But I don't want to really over-engage if I don't have to, but there's only 1 cannon, so I end up killing him, broke his base, no other units, and that kind of thing. And from my perspective, I mean, I haven't even scouted his main. That first unit could have been a DT. I didn't know. I mean, I highly doubted it. I completely doubted that that would have even happened, but it could have been possible, I guess. 8 minutes, maybe not yet. Maybe if he straight tech to DTs after that, he could have had a couple out. But then, yeah, I wouldn't have had to scan. I would have had to run back home. But even still, that's how you deal with a cannon rush for the most part. I mean, I've played against, little harder cannon rushes, but in general, deal with the cheese like that. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.